6. During which time of my absence from Theovrakistan, I appoint Havrologisasa as vice-goddess in my place. How sayest thou, Havrologisasa? She said, Jehovah's will and thine be done. I am rejoiced. 7. Lika then called Havrologisasa to the throne, and commissioned her vice-goddess of Theovrakistan. And after this Lika gave instructions as to extending the capital, Yogana Kaktra, and enlarging the places for reception of the higher grades, all of which were duly provided with the persons to carry out the commands. 8. And now Lika spake to Ahura, saying, Behold, thou shalt return to thy kingdom, Vara Pishanaha, for when I come thither on my journey, I will resurrect thy hosts as brides and bridegrooms to the Etherian kingdoms. Thy labor is well done, thy glory is the glory of thousands of millions. May the love, wisdom and power of Jehovah be with thee, now and forever. 9. Thereupon Ahura saluted, and was in turn saluted, when he advanced and met the marshals, who conducted him hence, to the arrow ship, where he embarked and departed. Chapter 14. 1. In due time Lika's Otevan was completed, and he, with the Rapon hosts, besides 1,000,000 hosts in attendance, to make necessary surveys and records, entered into the ship and departed for his 2 years' cruise around about the earth and in her heavens. 2. Sufficient unto the earth is the history thereof, and the maps of land and water, and the number of inhabitants, and the living creatures upon the earth and in the waters thereof, which are in the libraries of the earth. Therefore, suffice it that the revelations of the heavens upon the face of the earth, which records are in the libraries of heaven, shall be disclosed before the generations of men from the records of Lika, son of Jehovih. 3. This, then, is a synopsis of the atmosphere in heavens at that time, to wit, in the hells of Horde, with Anuazaj, alias Deus, 40,000 million angels. 4. In the hells of Tein, 8,000 millions, in the hells of Sudga, 12,000 millions, in the hells of Osiris, 17,000 millions. 5. In the smaller hells in other parts of Hada, there were in all 14,000 million angels. 6. These 91,000 millions were not all bound in their respective hells, upward of 30,000 millions of them surged about, from one hell to another, often in groups of 1,000 million. 7. And these groups, at times, descended to the earth, fastening upon mortals, even casting large cities and nations in death. Because they carried the foulness of their hells with them, they impregnated the air with poison, so that mortals were swept off by the million. And these were called plagues. 8. Lika said, Behold, I will give a new grade to these heavens for a season. From this time, such angels shall be known as being in the first resurrection. But spirits who have quit their old haunts, and joined organic associations, being enlisted in companies, either for labor or for receiving heavenly instruction, shall be known as being in the second resurrection. And such spirits as have attained to Etherian grades, being brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah, and having ascended beyond atmosphere into the Etherian worlds, shall be known as being in the third resurrection. 9. Such angels as engraft themselves on mortals, becoming as a twin spirit to the one corporeal body, shall be known as reincarnated spirits. But where such spirits usurp the corporeal body, as of an infant, growing up in the corporeal body, and holding the native spirit in abeyance, such spirits shall be known as damons, which was the origin of that name. 10. Spirits who inhabit mortals in order to live on the substance mortals eat and drink, and oft absorbing the strength and life of mortals, shall be known as Uzians, vampires. Nevertheless, these shall not include fetals. 11. All the foregoing, who are not in the way of resurrection, shall be called Druhas. 12. Now, behold, there were millions of angels in those days who knew no other life, but to continue engrafting themselves on mortals. And, when one mortal died, they went and engrafted themselves on another. 13. These were the fruit of the teaching of the false gods, who had put away the all-highest, Jehovah. They could not be persuaded that Etheria was filled with habitable worlds. 14. And they professed that they had been reincarnated many times, and that, previously, they had been great kings or philosophers. 15. Some of them remember the Ghan period of 1,000 years, and, so hope to regain their natural bodies and dwell again on the earth, and forever. Hence was founded the story that every 1,000 years a new incarnation would come to the spirits of the dead. 16. Lika said, Such spirits as come to mortals purposely to inflict them with pain or misfortune shall be called evil spirits. 17. And when they go in groups, having a leader, that leader shall be called Beelzebub, that is, captain of evil, prince of devils. And this was the origin of that word. 18. In Parsoi and Hellas there were habited with mortals 1,000 million damons, and 1,200 million evil spirits. In Egupt there were inhabited with mortals 700 million engrafters, reincarnated spirits, who, for the most part, held the spirits of their victims in abeyance all their natural lives. 19. In Japheth there were habited with mortals more than 1,500 millions of demons and evil spirits, besides 400 million vampires. So that in these three great divisions of the earth, Vindhu, and Japheth, and Arabanya, there were habited upward of 10,000 million spirits who had not attained to any resurrection. 20. Besides all the foregoing there were thousands of millions of spirits in chaos, being such as had been slain in wars. Of these chaotic spirits there were in Parso and Helest 1,000 millions, and in Japheth 2,000 millions, and in Vindu 2,000 millions. But in Egupt there were not 500,000, all told. 21. So that, in atmosphere, at the time of Lika, there were upward of 125,000 million angels, who had no knowledge of or belief in any higher heaven. 22. To offset this great darkness, there were believers in, and laborers for Jehovah and his emancipated kingdoms, only 4,000 millions, and many of these were not above grade 50. And these were members of Krayoshivi and Vara Pishanaha. 23. 2,000 million of them were ashes, laboring with the faithest mortals of Egupt, Japheth and Vindu. Chapter 15. 1. After Lika had numbered all the mortals on the earth, and all the angels in the heavens of the earth, and beheld the great darkness thereof, he visited Oahspe, and founded a good plateau, capable of all grades up to 60. And Lika possessed the place and consecrated it to Jehovah, and he left thereon 300,000 gods and goddesses, who were of his Etherean host. And after this he returned to Gesika, chief god, for the deliverance of the hells of Deus, and Tein, and Sudga, and Lika instructed him. 2. Gesika had the vessels constructed with walls of fire around the margins, to prevent the Druhas escaping. And there were built in all 400 vessels, each capable of carrying 100 million Druhas. 3. The manner of driving the Druhas into them was by leaving part of the fire wall open, and by firebrands in the Etherians' hands cutting off sections of Druhas from the hells. In this way the Etherians drove the Druhas into the vessels, whereupon the doorway in the wall of the ship was closed. And then the workers of the ship put it under way and carried them up to Oahspe, where the gods and goddesses received them, placing the Druhas in pens, walled with fire, where they could be treated and restored to reason, after which they were to be liberated in installments, according to their safety. 4. In the first year Gesika delivered from the hells of Harda 5,000 million Druhas, but in the second year he delivered 35,000 millions, and in the third year, 16,000 millions. After this the work went slowly on, for the balance of the hells were mostly in knots, some of them hundreds of millions. And these had to be delivered individually, requiring great labor, and power, and wisdom, and dexterity. 5. In the 5th month of the 4th year, Anuazaj, alias the false Lord God, was delivered out of the great knot of hell, in which there had been 800 millions bound for more than 400 years. After the manner in which Fragapati delivered knots, even so did Gesika and his hosts, with brands of fire. 6. When it was known in which place Deus Anuazaj was tied, and when it was half delivered, Gesika sent for Ahura to come and have the honor of releasing Anuazaj. And to this end Ahura labored on the knot 55 days, and then it was accomplished. 7. But lo and behold, Anuazaj was bereft of all judgment, crying out, unceasingly, I am not God. I am not the Lord. I am not Deus. He was wild, crazed with fear and torments, frenzied, and in agony. 8. The which Ahura, his friend, beheld, and Ahura caught him in his arms. Ahura called unto him, Anuazaj. O my beloved, knowest thou not me? Behold me. I am Ahura. 9. But, alas, Anuazaj knew him not, pulled away, tried to escape in fear, his protruding eyes seeing not, his ears hearing not. And he kept forever uttering, Let me go, I am not the Lord God nor Deus. I am Anuazaj. Then broke the good heart of Ahura, and he wept. 10. Then they held Anuazaj and carried him away into the ship, and Ahura helped to carry him. 11. Then the ship rose up and sailed along higher and higher, farther and farther, till at last it came to Oahspe. And they took Anuazaj to a hospital prepared for maniacs, and stretched him on his back and held him. Then called Ahura to the gods and goddesses to come and help him, and they came and seated themselves around about, making the sacred circle. 12. And Ahura said, Light of thy light, Jehovah. Thou who first quickened him into being, O deliver thou him. 13. A light, like a small star, gathered before Anuazaj's face, and this was the first thing his fixed eyes had yet seen. Then Ahura and the gods and goddesses sang sweetly, Behold me. I am the light, and the life. I quicken into life every living thing. Behold me. I am with thee. I am never away from thee. Thou art mine now, and forever shall be. Look upon me. I am in all things. Nothing is, nor was, nor ever shall be without me. Hear my love. I am thy creator. Only for love, and for love only, created I thee, my beloved. 14. Anuazaj gave a long gasp and relaxed his mighty will, then fell into a swoon, all limp and helpless. Still the gods stood by him, waiting, watching whilst he slept a while. And then, by signals to the Essenors, Ahura caused other music to steal upon the scene, to be answered by distant trumpeters. For the space of 7 days Anuazaj slept, and all the while the great gods and goddesses relaxed not their wills nor steadfast positions. And at the end of the 7th day Anuazaj began to sing in his swoon, like one weak and out of breath, but half awake. 15. How could I deny thee, O Jehovah? Was not the evidence of mine own life before me? I raised up my voice against my Creator. I plucked him out of my soul, from all people in heaven and earth I dispersed him. But they that applauded me turned against me, even as I had turned against thee, thou all-person. 16. In my vanity I owned not that I was in thee nor of thee, with mine own hand I cut myself asunder from thee, O Jehovah. Oh that I had perceived I was going farther and farther away, that I had known the road of life and death. 17. I see thy judgment upon me, O Jehovah. I hear thy just decree, whilst the name of God or Lord or Saviour is worshipped on the earth I shall labour with the druhas of heaven and the drugs of earth. 18. A most righteous judgment, O Jehovah. Whilst I am in hell or in heaven, in Harda or on the earth, will I pursue all peoples, mortals and angels, till I cast out the worship of a God and of a Lord and of a Saviour. And thou alone, thou great Spirit, ever-present person, everlasting and almighty, thou shalt be all in all. 19. Again Anuazaj went off in a swoon for the space of 3 days, and yet the gods and goddesses ceased not their fixed places. And again was the music resumed till Anuazaj awoke and again chanted in Jehovah's praise. And again he relapsed and again awoke, for many days, but at last awoke and beheld first of all Ahura. Steadily and wildly he gazed thereon, until his eyes were clouded and as if dead. And he dropped again into a swoon. 20. Another day the gods watched him, and sang for him, moved not from the sacred circle of Jehovih. 21. Then Anuazaj awoke, singing, Who was it taught me to love? Ahura. Who first proclaimed Jehovah unto mine ear? Ahura. Who was the last to plead Jehovah? Ahura. Who most of all that live laboured for me? Ahura. 22. I broke thy heart, O Ahura. I was mad, O I was mad, Ahura. Because of thy love, Ahura, thou praised me, I was vainglorious and unworthy of thee, O my beloved. 23. Thy vision hath raised up before me, Ahura. Second to Jehovah, O my love? O that thou knewest I am here, penitent and heartbroken. I know thou wouldst fly to me, Ahura. Thou alone do I know, who would never desert me, sweet Ahura. 24. Then again Anuazaj relapsed into a swoon, wilted, breathless, like one that is dead. Ahura sang. 25. Behold me. I am Ahura. I am come to thee from afar, O Anuazaj. Awake and behold my love, my love. My heart is broken for thee, Anuazaj. 1,000 years I have wept for thee. Oh that thou couldst awake to know me. 26. Anuazaj looked up and beheld Ahura. The latter kept on singing, It is not a dream, Anuazaj. Thy Ahura is here. Behold me. I am he. Break the spell, O Anuazaj. By Jehovah's power put forth thy soul. Ahura is here. 27. Again Anuazaj relapsed, but not to swoon, merely closed his eyes and sang, Blessed art thou, O Jehovah. Thou hast given me a sweet vision. Thou hast shown me the face of my love, Ahura. His sweet voice fell upon mine ear. I am blessed, O Jehovah. 28. Even these hells hast thou blessed, O Jehovah. The darkness of endless death is made light by thine almighty touch. Thou alone shalt be my song forever. Thou alone my theme of delight. Jehovah forever. Jehovah forever and forever. 29. Then Ahura, seeing the spell was broken, said, Arise, O Anuazaj. I will sing with thee. Behold Ahura, thy love is before thee. This is no vision. Come thou to the arms of thy love. 30. And he raised Anuazaj up, and he awoke fully, but trembling and weak, and knew understandingly. Chapter 16. 1. In the same time that Anuazaj was delivered out of hell, so was a newbie, and from the self-same knot. And he was carried on the same Kalios to Oahspe, the same heavenly place. And he was also in chaos, knowing nothing, only screaming, I am not a newbie. I am not the Saviour. I am plain Chisoda, his real name. 2. And he also saw not and heard not, but was wild, desiring to fly away. And they held him fast, and, after the same manner they delivered Anuazaj to reason, they also delivered Chisoda. 3. And when both of them were well restored to sound reason, though still timorous, Ahura took them in his own Otevan and carried them to Theovrakistan, before Lika, for judgment. And great was the time when they came, and especially the desire of the inhabitants to look upon Anuazaj, the most audacious god that had ever dwelt on the earth or in her heavens, and, withal, the much-loved friend of Ahura. 4. When they came before the throne of Jehovah and duly saluted, Lika said, Whence come ye and for what purpose, O my beloved? 5. Ahura said, Hell hath delivered up the bound. My friends are before thee. Then Lika said, In Jehovah's name, welcome. Whatsoever the Father putteth into your souls, that utter ye and be assured of his love, wisdom and power. 6. Anuazaj said, That I am delivered out of hell it is well, that I was delivered into hell it was well likewise. Give thou me Jehovah's judgment. My purpose before thee, is to register my vows unto Jehovah, that my record and thy just judgment may be carried to the heavens above. 7. Lika said, My judgment upon thee, Anuazaj, is that thou shalt judge thyself. 8. Anuazaj said, Most righteous judgment, O Jehovah. But knowest thou not Jehovah's voice? 9. Lika said, Thou asked for a great heavenly kingdom. Behold, Jehovah gave it thee. As soon as order is restored, thou shalt have thy kingdom again. 10. Anuazaj said, I want it not. 11. Lika said, Thou shalt not say, I want this or that, but say that thou wilt do whatsoever Jehovah hath given into thy hands. When thou hast raised up thy whole kingdom, behold, thou wilt also be raised up. 12. Anuazaj said, Alas me, this is also just. Show thou me the way, I will henceforth labor for the thousands of millions who were my kingdom. 13. Lika now bade Chisoda and Newbrough speak. Chisoda said, I called myself master of the scales and saviour of men. Whoever called on me, worshipping me and Deus, alias the Lord God, I accepted. Whoever worshipped me not, nor Deus, nor the Lord God, I cast into hell, saying, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting torments. 14. What then, O Lika, shall be my judgment? For, behold, I cast 1,000 millions into torments. 15. Lika said, Judge thyself. 16. Chisoda said, Alas, the pains I gave can never be called back and undone. Have I, then, no hope? 17. Lika said, Whom thou hast pained, go thou to, and by thy good deeds hereafter done to them, so win their love that they will call thee blessed. When all of them have accepted thee, behold, it shall be well with thee. 18. Chisoda said, O endless task! And yet, it is just. Teach me, then, O Lika, how to carry out this great judgment. 19. Lika then asked for Anuazaj to come forward and be crowned, and when he approached the foot of the throne Lika came down and said, Anuazaj, son of Jehovah, God of Oahspe, thee I crown in Jehovah's name, unto his service forever. Be thou with him, O Jehovah, in wisdom, love and power. 20. Anuazaj said, Into thy service, O Jehovah, I commit myself forever. Give me of thy love and wisdom and power that I may glorify thee and thy kingdoms. 21. Lika stretched up his hand, saying, Light of thy light, crown of thy crown, O Jehovah. And the light was formed in his hand, and a crown came out of the light, and Lika placed it on Anuazaj's head. The latter then sat down on the foot of the throne, and Lika took his hand, saying, Arise, O God, and go thy way, and the Father be with thee. 22. Thereupon Anuazaj and Chisoda saluted and stood aside. And then Ahura saluted and stood aside also, whereupon Lika granted a day of recreation, during which time the visiting gods departed for Oahspe. Chapter 17. 1. Wherein this history hath overlapped the running story, hear ye how it was with Ahura and his kingdom, Vara Pishanaha, which Lika visited prior to the deliverance of the hells of Hada. For, to accomplish the resurrection of Vara Pishanaha, Lika had previously sent swift messengers to Yeargu, goddess of Hatmistos, in Etheria, to bring an avalanche capable of 6,000 million brides and bridegrooms for the mid-harvest. 2. Accordingly, at the same time Lika and his Rapon hosts were visiting Ahura, the goddess, Yeargu, came down in her avalanza, fully equipped. Her avalanza was egg-shaped and veiled without, and was 7 miles high and 5 miles wide, every way, habitable throughout. On the outer surface, but under the veil, were 12,000 porches with banisters. The propelling vortices were within the center, and the workmen were in the summit. On the lowest porch were 500,000 essenors, and on the highest porch 1,000 trumpeters. 3. Yeargu's compartment, and the place of the Holy Council, were in the midst, and her throne faced to the north, like the earth's vortex. 4. Ahura said to Lika, son of Jehovah, My brides and bridegrooms I give to thee, honor thou this dissolving kingdom by performing the marriage ceremony. Lika said, Thy will and Jehovah's be done. Thus was it arranged, and the twain, together with the Rapon hosts, ascended the throne together and sat thereon. 5. Ahura had previously provided his hosts, in all 4,500 million brides and bridegrooms, and arrayed them in white, so that they anxiously awaited the coming of Yeargu, and were on the lookout to see her magnificent ship descending. A place of anchorage had also been previously made, together with accommodation for the spectators, of whom there were 1,500 millions, being adopted wanderers, rescued from the various hells during the past 100 years. 6. The brides and bridegrooms were arranged in semicircles facing the throne, leaving a place for the avalanza, but above them, so that when Yeargu descended from her ship's bottom she would be in the midst. 7. Whilst the ship's workmen were anchoring, Yeargu and her holy council descended to the platform, and saluted the gods and goddesses on the throne in the sign, the glory of the Father, and Lika and the others answered under the sign, the abandonment of self. 8. Yeargu said, In Jehovah's name am I come to answer the call of his Son, to deliver the emancipated sons and daughters. 9. Lika said, Behold, O daughter of Jehovah, the brides and bridegrooms are before thee. To thee I give them in Jehovah's name. 10. Yeargu said, My beloved, know ye the resurrection of the Most High Heavens? 11. Response, Reveal, O Goddess, our faith is strong. 12. Thereupon Iagu instructed them, and then followed the usual ceremonies, but concluding with the seventh degree of Emuth, in Jehovah's voice, to be my brides and bridegrooms forever. 13. Response, to be thy brides and bridegrooms forever, O Jehovah. To labor for thee, and to be mouthpieces for thy commandments, and to be thy expression forever. And to be in concert with thy most high gods for the resurrection of mortals and angels. 14. Whom I receive as mine forever. To be one with me in my kingdoms, for which glory I accept you as my sons and daughters, brides and bridegrooms forever. 15. Response, and be thy sons and daughters. To be one with thee forever, thou most high, Jehovah. 16. Iagu said, Behold the crowns the Father bestoweth upon his loves, to be theirs forever. Hereat the Rapon chiefs with Lika, gathered of the curtains of light and wove crowns and cast them forth, thousands of millions, and the power of the Great Spirit through their wills bore them upon the heads of the brides and bridegrooms. 17. Response, Crown of thy crown, O Jehovah. Glory be to thee, Creator of worlds. 18. Iagu, the Father's ship hath come for his chosen. Walk ye in and rejoice, for ye are his harvest. Gods and goddesses are waiting for you, as a woman waiteth for her firstborn. They will receive you with joy and love. Yea, they are crying out unto me, Daughter of Jehovah, why tarriest thou so long? 19. Lika now saluted the brides and bridegrooms, and said, Arise, O my beloved, and go your ways, the Father calleth. 20. The brides and bridegrooms saluted, saying, Alas, we have not paid our teacher, Ahura. And every one plucked from the rays of Jehovah's light a flower of love, and cast it at Ahura's feet, saying, Most blessed of gods, love of my love, Jehovah be with thee. 21. Ahura responded not, only burst into tears. And now, whilst the brides and bridegrooms were going into the ship, Iagu came along the platform, accompanied by the chief marshal, and his staff, and these were followed by Iagu's high council. The Rapon chiefs rose up and received them, and they all sat on Jehovah's throne in relaxation and fellowship. 22. Thus ended the ceremony. The music of the two spheres now commenced, Iagu and her hosts embarked, and she gave the word, Arise, and lo, the great Avalanza started from its foundation, amidst a universal shout of applause from the 4,000 millions. Higher and higher rose the ship of fire, toward the bridge Chinbat, toward the Etherian heavens. Chapter 18. 1. After the judgment of Anuazaj and Chasota at Theovrakistan, Ahura asked Lika for assistance to remove the remainder of Vara Pishanaha to Haujusta, which Lika granted, allotting 10 millions of his Etherian hosts to accomplish it. With these Ahura and Anuazaj and Chasota accomplished the removal. 2. In not many days after this, Sudga was delivered from the hells of Outprag, of which event Ahura had been previously informed, as to the time thereof, and he accordingly went to Outprag, to be in readiness to receive Sudga, and help restore him if required. 3. Sudga, on his delivery from the knot, where there had been 30 millions bound, was bereft of reason, but not gentle like Anuazaj, but fierce, battling right and left, a very maddened maniac that neither saw nor heard, but raved and cursed with all his strength, choked up with madness. For all the curses of his broken-down kingdom recoiled upon himself, the projective curses of his thousands of millions of slaves were piercing his soul from every quarter. 4. But they held him fast and carried him into the ship, which sailed for Haujusta, whither he was landed in the same condition. Ahura was with him, and Ahura caused a circle of deliverance to assemble and labor in the restoration. And it required 30 days and nights to bring him round, so he could even see and hear, but as for his judgment it was yet 100 days more before it manifested. 5. So Ahura could not wait longer with him, but returned to the hells where Tein was bound, the Akalu Ganaz, for Tein was to be delivered. But herein was Ahura also disappointed, for Tein was neither frightened nor wild nor mad, but limpid, helpless as water and without knowledge, more than a vessel of water. His energies had all been exhausted, and in a dead swoon he lay in the heart of the knot. Him they also carried to Haujusta, and Ahura provided for his restoration. 6. But yet, ere Tein awoke from his stupor, Ahura departed for Osiris, who was bound in the hells of Praelgotha. Osiris had been in hell now for more than 100 years, and in a knot for 50 years. 7. When the false Osiris was delivered, he was deranged, but preaching Jehovah, calling everybody Jehovah, and everything Jehovah. Him they also carried to Haujusta and provided restoration for him. And Ahura went thither also to assist with all his wisdom and strength. 8. Thus were delivered all the self-gods who had rebelled against Jehovah and established the great confederacy, of which not one vestige was now left. 9. But of all the angels delivered out of the hells and knots not 1 in 10 was of sound judgment, whilst more than half of them were only Druhas at best. 10. Thus was founded the new kingdom of Haujusta, but yet in charge of the Etherians, who were to commit it to Anuazaj and his one-time confederates, for their deliverance. 11. It came to pass in course of time that Sudga and Tein and Osiris were restored to judgment, and in this matter Anuazaj and Ahura and Chasota were constant workers. And when they were all restored, they in turn fell to restore others, to which labor they were committed till the close of dawn. 12. Osiris and Tein and Sudga all desired to go before Lika, to be adjudged and sentenced, and they all sentenced themselves, which was granted unto them. On this occasion Osiris said, 13. Thy lessons are near at hand, O Jehovah. But who will learn them? Mortals go insane, because they have not learned to throw their cares upon thee. To throw government upon thee, O Jehovah, is not this wisdom? To cast riches and kingdoms into thy lap, to own nothing, to have nothing, is not this the sum of the highest happiness? 14. Whoso doth this will battle against no man for anything in heaven or earth. But he who doth otherwise will soon or late descend into hell. For what is hell but the opposite of bliss? What is battling against others, but sowing the seed of anarchy in one's own soul? To battle against others is to gain the lower, by sacrificing the higher, of which latter thou, O Jehovah, art the summit. 15. To go against thee, O Father, is to go against one's fellows, to go against one's fellows is to go against thee. And who can go against thee but will soon or late evolve his own fall? 16. Thou hast given to mortals, kings, queens, and shown them that soon or late their kingdoms will fall to pieces. And yet lords and gods, seeing these things, will not believe. Every one, in his own conceit, imagineth his particular kingdom will be governed more wisely than all his predecessors. And yet is also faithless. 17. Now will I turn to find thee, O Jehovah, and the search shall be everlasting. Kingdoms are nothing to me, all possession, save wisdom and love, are but vanity and vexation. I know thou art above all else, and yet thou art that hath given thyself all away, so that none can look upon thy face. Verily hast thou hid thyself away, to be like unto thee is to hide away the self of oneself, and that will remain will be thy mouthpiece and thy hand. 18. Then spake Sudga unto Jehovah, saying, Why was I puffed up, seeing that I created not even mine own self? Neither had I anything in earth or heaven to use or to work with, but the substance was made already. Yea, I leapt into thy garden which thou hadst planted. 19. I raised up my voice against thee, because thou wert too holy for my gross senses to behold, I condemned thee. I wanted thee gross that I could look upon thee, that I could walk around thee, and behold thy stature. I saw that all men were like unto me in this. 20. Therefore I made a figurehead of myself, I said unto thy children, Behold me. And at first they were pleased, because they imagined they had found a creator they could measure. But thine eye was upon me, thine hand pointed the way and the manner of my iniquity. And they searched me out and found I was but a man, like unto themselves. Wherefore they condemned me. 21. The fool acknowledgeth no person save he can grapple therewith, and find the arms, and the length thereof, and the feet and their standing place. How vain I was in this, O Jehovah! 22. He that professed thy person I denounced as a fool, because I saw not thy completeness thou sufferedst me to pursue my vanity. Because I had risen above acknowledging thy person I was forced to make man the all-highest, and this drove me to make myself the all-highest man. But thou camest not against me to beat me from my iniquity, but gavest me full play to do my utmost. 23. On all sides hast thou encompassed thy creation with liberty. Even thine enemy thou hast not restrained. He standeth in public, saying, Jehovah, I deny thee. If thou art mightier than I, strike me down. Behold, I deny thee in thy person. Thou void nothingness. Thou fool creator, with thy half-created world. Thou who hast created sin. And created misery. Thou father of evil. O thou dumb nothing. 24. Yea, even to him hast thou given free speech, and he buildeth up his own soul in his own way. And for a season he is the delight of the druck and the druge, yea, they fasten upon him, and he gaineth a multitude of evil ones, divided one against another, but the seed of his curses taketh root in them, and he becometh encompassed with foulness and bondage. 25. To find harmony in thee, O Jehovah, to measure the goodness of thee, to rejoice in one's joys, to treasure thy best gifts, to laud thy love, to love thee because thou hast given me power to love, and things to love, to rejoice in thy fruits and flowers and all perfected things, to harp forever upon thy glories and the magnitude of thy creation, to sing praises to thee for harmony wherever found, to love to comprehend all good things, to find the good that is in all men and women, to rejoice in delights, to teach others to rejoice, and to search after all perfected beauties and goodness and righteousness and love. This shall be my service unto thee, my everlasting Father. 26. To seek not to find imperfections, to seek not to find inharmonies, to seek not to find evil, to seek not to find ugliness, to seek not to find evil in others, nor their darkness nor shortcomings, to seek not to prove imperfections upon thee, O Jehovah, to find no fault with thee, to complain not against thee, to complain not for trials nor for hardships, nor for the evil others inflict me with, to quibble not, because I could not comprehend thy vastness, to quibble not for myself, to speak not evilly against anything thou hast created. O make thou me strong and wise forever. 27. Tein spake to Jehovah, saying, Wherein is the limit of experience, O Jehovah? And how short have I not been before thee, my Father? Behold, I had learned all philosophies, I had been taught for a long season in the right way, but I rebelled against thee, my Creator. 28. I had been taught to hoard not up anything, to own nothing, to desire nothing but wisdom and love. And thy teachers, O Jehovah, showed me the evidence of thousands of great rulers, and every one of them had come to evil and destruction. Why then, O Father, was I not wise in the evidence before me? But I rose up against all this testimony, and I fashioned a mighty kingdom. Yea, thou sufferedst me to try in mine own way to the full. 29. I went not by peace but by war, I raised me up standing armies and great warriors without limit, by force I established myself, but only as a tree that groweth up and is cut down. But what was I in thy great universe, O Jehovah? What was my experience but the repetition of others who had been before me? 30. Now will I be wise, most cautious in my wisdom, and slow to proceed. But how can I make my experience profitable unto others? Thou hast stood me afar off, whoso heareth me will say, Ah, had I tried it I had succeeded better. Thou prickest each one to go in and try, but they all fail. Yea, they reiterate their failure, but where is the profit of this experience unto others? How can I ever reach them, O Jehovah? 31. What profit have I more than a mortal that dwelleth on the earth? Have not the angels testified for thousands of years that the rich man was crippling his own soul, and that the king and queen were binding themselves with chains for the habitation of hell? But they will not heed. Every one hopeth he at least will find a way to escape, to gain prestige over others, to be a leader, to have servants, to be idle, to live at ease, to have great possessions, to revel in luxuries. Are not these more powerful than experience, greater in the eyes of the ignorant than all the wisdom of earth and heaven? 32. Thou hast wisely shaped thy creatures, O Father. Thou makest great servants of us in a way we know not of. Behold, I desired a mighty kingdom in heaven, and thou gavest one into my hand. Yea, I flattered myself with my success, I laughed at the gods who had been before my time. How things are changed now, O Jehovah! 33. Thou hast made me a servant of servants, yea, by mine own hand have I bound myself about. Have I not heard mortals say, Oh that I had a kingdom to rule over! Oh that I had great riches, how good I would be! And because thou deniest them for their own good, they complain against thee. Who shall answer for the vanity of men and angels? They have not patience with thee, who created them alive and knowest what is best. 34. One saith, Yonder is a great king, why doth he not a great good? Or, Yonder is a rich man, why doth he not a great good also? Oh that I were in their places! 35. How shall I show them, O Father, that to be a king is to go away from doing good, that to be a rich man is to deny goodness? Yea, by the very act of possession is he testimony in the opposite way. For he that is good giveth all, even as thou gavest all and so made all things. And the greater the possession the greater the bondage. Who hath so small responsibility as he who hath nothing? This is the sum of wisdom, O Jehovah, and all men and angels soon or late will acknowledge it. 36. Better hast thou made it for the servant than for the master, better for the poor than the rich, and these things will also come to their understanding in course of time. But how can I, O Father, make them to know wisdom without experience, to accept the testimony of others' tortures in hell? 37. Behold, thou gavest me great learning when I was of the earth, and when in harder great advantages to attain to deep wisdom, but, after all, I was caught in a snare of my own setting. How much, then, O Father, must I expect of the multitude? Happy is he who hath nothing, and desireth only wisdom and love. To cultivate such a garden, what a harvest will ripen out unto him. 38. When the three had thus spoken before the throne and before the high council, Ahura stood aside and spake also. He said, Chapter 19. 1. Oh that I could sing thee a song of delight, thou all-highest! Or find the words to make plain thy marvelous ways. But thou hast limited me as a shadow, of which thou art the substance. Thy causes are deep and of long times, my judgment less than a breath of air, I resolve and reason and devise, but all is nothing before thee. 2. Today my soul is buoyed up with great rejoicing, thou hast sent me my loves. I would bind them with sweet words, their wisdom would I feast upon forever. In thy great mercy, Jehovah, thou hast showed me a world of delight. 3. How can I repay thee, or thy countless millions make to understand the way of rejoicing? Oh that I could show them the secret way of bliss, or turn them in the direction of the All-Highest. Could they be the within, to know the delight of that which proceedeth outward? 4. Oh that I could make them understand, to look upward instead of downward, to look inward instead of onward. How thou followest up thy wayward children, thy truants that strive to go away from thee. 5. They wander away off, and thou givest the slack of the leading line unto them. They go as if around a circle, and come to the place of beginning at last. Oh that I could prevail upon them in the start, that I could save them the first journey of the circle. Oh that they would go slowly and with thee always, Jehovah. 6. But thou enrichest them with thy bounteous fields, they travel far and are footsore and weary, and the twain causes are as a new book of songs. Oh, that experience may never die. And thy creations never cease to have adventurous sons and daughters. 7. Oh, that I could understand thy greatness, or find the darkness that glorifieth the light of thy countenance. I drink deep of mine own folly, and mine eyes wander about because of the darkness. I come upon thy pathway and burst forth with a song of delight. Yea, I rejoice for the darkness I have passed through, in this am I more buoyant in my love to thee, my Creator. 8. How can I make all thy people to sing songs unto thee, or teach them to harp not forever on the dark side of things? I have seen the tree of hell they planted in their own souls, and the way they cultivate it. They know not what is meant by singing praises unto thee, and of thy growth in them. 9. Why will they interpret me by words, or realize not that I sing of the exuberance of the soul? Oh, that I could inspire them to talk good of all things, to harp forever on the beauties thou hast made, instead of the ills and horrors around about. Can they never understand what it is to sow the seed of the tree of endless delight? 10. Oh, that I could call them unto thee, Jehovih, or that I could lift their aspiration up from the shadows of death. I would follow them into thy two great gardens which thou hast created, that which is green, where they go and curse thee, and that which is ripe, where I have found thee full of love. Because I said, sing unto him forever, pray to him with great rejoicing, they interpret me to mean words uttered as a mocking bird. Yea, they grumble forever. 11. To find thee, O Jehovah, to glorify the good that cometh along, this is the salvation of the world. Of this my songs shall never end, without a shadow of darkness thou wilt tune my voice forever. I will sing and dance before thee, the germ of happiness in my soul will I nurse as thy holiest gift. For of all the trees which thou hast planted in the soul of men and angels, this is the most glorious, for it is the perfection of thy voice, which singeth in all thy living creatures. 12. When Ahura ended his song, then spake Lika, for the voice of Jehovah was upon him. He said, Many leaders have I created for the earth and her heavens, but not one have I created with power to make a leader of himself. My hand is upon them that I choose, with wisdom and power raise I am up from the beginning. 13. To a people on the earth I give a king, to the inhabitants of my heavens give I lords and gods. 14. Because ye have tried the fullness of self, and raised up mighty realms in heaven, but to come to naught before my hand, ye are as a new power in these heavens. 15. As by the name Jehovah, I have maintained the faithists in earth and heaven, so shall ye rule over my enemies, in righteousness and love and good works, by the names Lord and God, which they shall worship until the coming of the next dawn. But I will come in that day and deliver you and them, and there shall be no more Lord or God upon the earth or in the heavens thereof. 16. Grieve not that ye have had great kingdoms, and been overthrown and cast into torments, for ye have been so prepared in my works, that I might reach them that are not of the flesh and blood of my faithists. And inasmuch as ye have gone to the farthest limit of glory and of the darkness of hell, so will I give unto you wisdom, love and power accordingly. 17. For, to make ready for the Cosmon era, I want not a few, but thousands of millions in heaven and earth, to inspire such as live in darkness. 18. As I delivered you, so shall ye deliver them, because they will accurse themselves with war and with standing armies for the sake of earthly glory unto their rulers, ye shall encompass them about, and break them up, and deliver them into my kingdoms, which are peace and love. 19. As ye have been delivered out of hell, so shall ye deliver the kings and queens of the earth out of their kingdoms wherein they will unknowingly bind themselves in condemnation before me. They shall be made to understand that, whoso assumeth a kingdom, shall not rule it unto his own glory without reaping the fruits of hell. 20. When the king goeth forth, he shall not be afraid he will be cut down, nor shall his marshals stand about him to protect him, for my person shall shield him, and his people will shout with great joy when his steps draw nigh. To serve me is not in prayer only, or in rites and ceremonies, but in stretching forth the hand to do good unto others with all of one's might. 21. Because ye have proved that force and violence only establish for a day, and is not of me, so shall ye make them understand that whoso useth force and violence or armies to sustain himself is not of me, but is my enemy, and is on the way to destruction. 22. Whoso being a king, or a general, or a captain, and in war, either offensive or defensive, professing to serve me by rites and ceremonies and praises, is a mocker of me and my kingdoms, yea, a blasphemer in my sight, he profiteth the way of his own torments. These are my creations, to answer force with force, violence with violence, mockery with mockery, alike and like as seed is sown, so shall the harvest come unto the sowers. 23. Neither shall evil and darkness and misery cease on the earth till I have disbanded the dealers in death, by my own hand will I liberate the nations of the earth, their armies shall go away, like the winter's snow in sun of summer. To which end ye shall be my workers, with wisdom and love and power. Chapter 20. 1. During the 4th year of dawn, the voice of Jehovah came to Lika, saying, My son, thou shalt provide thyself an army sufficient, and thou shalt take away from the earth all angels below the first resurrection, save such feetles as are under the dominion of my heavenly rulers. 2. And thou shalt provide them separate regions in my lower heavens, whence they cannot return to mortals. And thou shalt appoint rulers and teachers over them, to deliver them out of madness and evil and stupor. 3. Of thy Etherean hosts shalt thou appoint teachers and rulers for this purpose, but at the end of dawn they shall give over their places to atmospherians selected from Theovrakistan. 4. From this time forth my atmospherians shall begin to help one another, not depending for all teachers to come from my Etherean heavens. 5. Lika then called up Atiesonitis and told him of Jehovah's words, and further added, To thee do I therefore allot this labor. And I give unto thee 12 generals, for the different regions of the earth, and unto each of the 12 I allot 5 million Ethereans, whom thou canst draw from the armies that were engaged in delivering the hells and knots. 6. Atiesonitis said, In Jehovah's will and thine, I am pleased. I will divide up the regions of the earth amongst the 12 generals, and give unto each one of them the 5 millions, according to thy commandments. 7. Atiesonitis then sent officers out into different regions in atmosphere to select the 60 million deliverers, commanding them to report in Theovrakistan, in the valley of Tish, his heavenly place, whither he took the 12 generals that Lika had assigned him. 8. Lika gave to Atiesonitis a list of the spirits to be thus taken away from mortals, that is, the engrafted, the demons, the familiars, the vampires and the lusters, and such other spirits as otherwise lead mortals into darkness and crime, showing him the regions of the earth where they were most numerous. With which list Atiesonitis and his generals made themselves well acquainted before starting on his perilous enterprise. 9. Atiesonitis then ordered the shipbuilders to provide him 12,000 fire boats, with bulwarks of fire, and with gateways. 10. In the meantime Lika sent Usamis with 400 geographers and mathematicians and surveyors to find the necessary plateau to which Atiesonitis could send his captured hosts. 11. Usamis therefore founded the 6th heavenly plateau known as the Oahspe, a name signifying the heaven of the destroying serpents. 12. These, then, were the 6 heavens of Oahspe, to wit, Tawalawala, over Arabanya, 1,200 miles high, Sedisong, over Vindhu, 1,000 miles high, Goidi, over Japheth, 1,100 miles high, Elapub, over Europa, 1,000 miles high, Apak, over north and south Gautama, 600 miles high, and bordering on Yatan, the subjective heaven of the ancients, which was now being re-established by Kaparos, and Phu, over Chawai, 9,000 miles high. 13. Usamis provided these heavens with no roadways, in order to prevent the delivered spirits flocking together, in which case they might run into anarchy hells. And, accordingly, appointed unto each of these heavens one ruler of the rank primal god, selecting them from the Etherean hosts, but empowering them to bestow their thrones on successors at the end of dawn, giving terms of office not less than 200 years, but subject to the limiting power of God of Theovrakistan. 14. Lika gave 4,000 messengers to Atiesonitis, and 12,000 messengers to Usamis, to whom he also gave 60 million laborers. But each of them provided their own heralds, musicians, marshals and captains in their own way. 15. Now, therefore, Atiesonitis and Usamis, receiving their armies of laborers, fell to work, the former to delivering, and the latter to receiving the Druhas of the earth. And Usamis put his hosts to building houses and hospitals, heavenly places, and to founding cities and provinces through the primal gods under him. Chapter 21. 1. Jehovih had said, All angels below the first resurrection, save infants, shall be known in heaven and on earth as Druhas, for they are such as have not capacity in knowledge or strength of individuality. 2. As there are on earth paupers and vagrants and beggars and criminals who are druks, so are there, in Hada, spirits that are a great trial to both mortals and angels. 3. And they inhabit mortals and the houses that mortals dwell in. Some mortals have 1 or 2 of them, some a score, and some have hundreds of them. Some of them continue to inhabit mortal dwellings long after mortals have abandoned them, even till they fall in ruins. And whoso cometh into such house, the Druhas come upon him to live on him and with him. 4. And if a mortal have greater wisdom and strength of soul than the Druhas, he ruleth over them, to a good purpose, reforming them and raising them up out of darkness and helplessness. 5. But if the Druhas have greater power than the mortal, then they pull him down in darkness, making of him a man to lust after the affairs of earth. Sometimes they help man to riches and great power, and if he have sons and daughters who are brought up in idleness and ease and luxury, then the Druhas fasten upon them, leading them in their own way, of lust and debauchery, or hard-heartedness. 6. The flesh-eater is their delight, and the drunkard their great joy. The man of riches, and kings, and generals, and fighting men, and harlots, and soldiers, are great treasures to them. And all manner of intoxicating things, that mortals delight in, are great feasts and rejoicings to them. The priest and the preacher who live in ease and luxury, performing showy rites and entertainments, are as great harvests for them to revel with. 7. On some occasion the Druhas rule over their mortal, and his neighbors call him mad, and they send him to a mad house, which is to them a city of delight. When mortals engage in war, slaying one another, the Druhas have great merriment, taking part by inspiring the mortals into the conflict. 8. The pleader lawyer is a favourite to them, for his vocation bringeth them in the midst of contention and craft and lying, he is to them a fortunate habitation. 9. The magician that worketh miracles and tricks is their favourite, for with him and through him, they can make themselves manifest. And when they show themselves, and are questioned as to who they are, they answer to any name that will please or flatter, even at times pretending to be gods and saviours. 10. The tattling woman that talketh of her neighbours is a good home for Druhas, and if the woman be given to talk evil, they are rejoiced beyond measure. The man that is a great boaster, and liar, and slanderer, is a choice house for them to dwell in. 11. The cheater and defrauder, the miser and the spendthrift, the curser of Jehovih, the curser of the gods, is like a citadel for them to inhabit. 12. They go not, for the most part, away from the mortal they inhabit whilst he liveth, nay, they have not wisdom or strength to go more than one length away. Some of them have strength to go to a neighbour or to a neighbour's house. And if a mortal curse his neighbour to die, then such Druhas as can go to that neighbour, seek out some poisonous infection and inoculate him to death, which is called casting spells. 13. Nay, there is nothing too low or foul for them, and for the most part they are but idiots, and deranged imbeciles, answering to any name or request like a man who is drunk, one so very drunk that he knoweth not and careth not. 14. A large city full of crime and debauchery, and rich and fashionable people, and people of evil habits, suiteth them better than a country place. 15. Druhas dwellers numerously among the rich and fashionable as amongst the poor, they fill the bawdy house and the temples of the idolaters. A court of justice full of pleaders, lawyers, and criminals is their delightful resort, but a battle in war is a sweet amusement to them. 16. A labouring man that is good and honest is of little value to them, save he be a gross feeder or drinker of intoxicating wines. 17. A man that marrieth a rich, lazy woman, receiveth with his wife 100 Druhas, or more. 18. A woman that marrieth a rich, lazy man, or a gambler, receiveth with her husband 100 Druhas, or more.